Welcome to Vote Home, the podcast serial that wants you to have a choice on 9th of June 2024. My name is Narcis Matache, and together with Zoe Elkayar-Nikot, we'll be hosting the lead candidates from hopefully every political party in Denmark standing for the European Parliament elections. Over the next 60 minutes, you will get to know the guest, its political standing, its relationship with the international community in Denmark, its view for the future of the Union, its European identity, its knowledge of the Union, and stay tuned until the end because in the last segment, we also have a fun challenge for the guest. And our guest today is Jan Kristoffersen from Alternativet Green Party. Not only a fantasy book author, but also a legal consultant and an expert in tax and company law, he's ready to bring the topic of sustainable production on the European agenda. Welcome, Jan. Welcome to our show.
Thank you, and thank you for the invitation. I've really been looking forward to this because it's rare that you have an hour to talk about European issues and topics.
So far, you haven't had the chance to have such long interventions in the debates we had so far?
No, not 60 minutes because most of the debates it's often very short time span.
Okay, so today you'll have the chance to go really deep into who you are and what you believe in. And I guess this podcast is meant for the international people living here in Denmark. So I'm just talking about them. Do you know any, or have you met people from this voter group before? So yes, please tell us about it.
Yes, I have. I meet quite a lot, both in my private life, but also we have one on our candidate list. So we have one from Germany who's running as a candidate for the European Parliament in our party, Alternativet. So I think I have some kind of experience with people. With people who's not Danes. But
have you made any of them as your friends? One of the things that many internationals in Denmark point out is that it's difficult to make Danish friends. Do you have any international friends yourself?
I have friendships. I think it's right because as close friends, no, not really. But I meet a lot. I come often at a cafe called Stefan's Hus. Which is quite an international environment. Lots of students, also behind both sides of the bars actually, both working behind the bar, but also hanging around. So I meet and talk a lot with people from Greece and Spain and all kinds of places, Germany, all kinds of places in Europe, but many of them are there like for 2 or 3 years, and that's also why it's difficult to. It's not like you're becoming friends.
No, I understand. I mean, yes, you have to get used to this idea of coming and going. It's something that became almost a normality for us, for the international citizens living in Denmark. Super. So you have some contacts with the international community. Have you seen any of them active in politics within your party, or is there any interest from the side of your party to attract more internationals to be active within the Green Party?
I think actually there's interest, but I don't think there is enough resources to actually go out and make a positive effort to do it. So I hope that we within a year or something can get resources so we can make an effort on that issue.
Okay, super. Thank you so much. Let's go now to talk a bit about yourself. What is your background? Because yes, we heard like 3 keywords about like a bit of your background, but maybe you can develop it a little bit further. And what motivated you to become a candidate for the European Parliament elections?
Okay. If I should start with, I have a legal degree, and I've been working for 10 years as a legal counselor in Deloitte with tax law and company law. And after those 10 years, I just wanted to do something else. And I was so lucky that I had the freedom to do what I actually would. That's why I wrote a fantasy book. And then in 2013, something bad happened with the Danish government, and it motivated me to join the Alternativet. And just in short, the government at that time passed through a legislation which, in my opinion, really ruined the idea of transparency in Danish democracy. And what really was motivated me to get into politics was that those parties who have been opposing this legislation before, when they came into government, they said, okay, now we do it anyway. And I was saying, okay, come on. And I really needed a party that I could vote on. And at that time, there was only 3 parties who did not vote for that legislation. One of them was Enhedslisten, a very a red party. Some would call it communist. I don't think they're communist, but they're very, very red and left-wing. There was a party called Dansk Folkeparti, which is a very right-wing party. And there was a party called Liberal Alliance, which is a very liberal party. And I could not see myself in any of those parties. Although they have voted right on this one, but I could not see myself in any of those parties. So that's why I said, okay, I like to go to bars, and I've seen a lot of people in bars muffling and been yelling at politicians without doing anything themselves. And I said, I do not want to be yelling at people without doing anything myself. So I wanted to do something, and then I started, Alternativet started, and I was joining and helped to get signatures so that Alternativet could get elected and so on. And then on that trip, I became more and more interested in the European agenda, and mostly the European trade agenda. I've always been working with global areas such as international company law, international tax law, but this trade agenda, I suddenly realized that the rules around the world on how do we produce what we need, how do we produce our phones, our computers, our refrigerators, our food, everything. If you want to regulate that, so that we produce within the boundaries of the planet, we have to make trade treaties which actually benefits the planet and the people living on the planet and the animals living on the planet. And that's the tool we can use. Actually, we can actually use. That's a practical, actual tool we can use. So we can get that change that I prefer to call. It's like what's it called in English? In Danish, you would call it a gearskift.
A change of gears. It's the
okay.
same.
It's a globally change of gear. I think you can do that if you make new trade agreements.
But we can talk more about the issues that motivated you to go into politics. But let's try to get to know the man Jan. Who is Jan, and why should people trust you with their vote? What do you do in your free time? I understand you're a fantasy author. Tell us a little bit about that book.
Oh yeah, well it's like a youth book, a fantasy book, and I always liked fantasy and science fiction. Well, just in short, the book is about a young boy, a teenager, who's called Johan, living in Copenhagen. And he's just an ordinary boy. He just has this special ability. So if he sees other people, he can see their hearts just floating around them above their heads. And the color of the heart and the size of the heart is just showing the emotion and the emotional state this person is in. And as his father has just died, so when he sees his mother, you can see his mother's heart is just like black and a little, and it's just, it's crumbling. And then he meets a girl called Matilda, and they found out that there's actually a glue which can fix a broken heart. So the book is about finding that glue.
Okay, wow. That's a very interesting book. You say it's for young people. I hope you made it graphical as well, because it sounds like it could be a very good graphic book.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Where do you spend your free time? Where can we find you on a Friday afternoon?
Well, I like to come at the National Stadium when the local football team is playing, FC Copenhagen. I really like to join their matches. Otherwise,
Okay.
as I just mentioned, I like to go to a local pub called Café Stefan's Hus.
Okay.
I really like to go out and meet other people at local bars, and I think it's a good community, those places. Because
so you really go and take a pulse of what's happening out there, and you're part of something. It sounds very Copenhagen, this thing, because it's so unreal for us down here in Jylland to have such a life where you can just go around, meet people, go to pubs. I mean, a lot of people mainly spend their time in associations and with their families, I guess, and whatnot. Are you a member of any associations besides the political one?
No.
Okay, so you're very focused on the political side.
Yeah.
Very dedicated, I guess.
Yeah. And maybe now you mention it, because I don't think I've felt the need to become a member of any associations, because I have this network. I have friends and a company all around me. I live at a street called Stefansgade. Just in the
same like the bar.
in the heart of Nørrebro, and I mean, I think I have 2 or 3 local bars which I visit frequently. Not it's not that I'm drinking all the time, but just to say hello to people and meet people which are working with other things that I do, which are studying, and I think it's nice to have communities where you can just walk in and say hi, and then hello again, and then
Super. And if you plan to get elected, well, hopefully you get elected, how would your voters be able to reach you? Like, because right now a lot of the current candidates or the current elected ones, it's not that easy to actually get in contact with them. So I was wondering, are you planning to do something about making it easier for your voters to reach you?
Well, actually, I think I was planning to make one time each week. It could be Monday or something. Maybe it's Tuesday. I've not really scheduled that, but have like an Ask Me Anything session.
Online or like physical?
Online.
Are you planning to open an office in Denmark? Because it's also not really a practice made so far.
I don't really know actually if I'm going to do that. But I think to have like this online session, both for voters, but also for members of the party, I think that would be a good thing to have, because being in Brussels, I think you could easily been swallowed by this Brussels bubble. I've been working at Christiansborg for like nearly 3 years now, and I've noticed how people is getting swallowed by the Christiansborg bubble, and I think the same thing will be at Brussels. So just to have once in a week, just a meeting where where everybody can raise their hands and say, "Hey Jan, are you aware of this?" Or because I will not be able to go to Stefan's Hus or those places so much anymore.
Fair enough. I mean, you'll have to find your new Stefan Hus in Brussels, and as someone who used to work in Brussels, believe me, you'll have plenty of very fun places to be in. Let's talk a bit about your main issues that you want to fight for. So if you get elected, what will be like the concrete project or plans that you plan to get yourself into?
I would really much initiate that we had a new generation of trade treaties, that we actually went from free trade to fair trade. I would really like that the EU initiated fair trade agreements with the US, with China and India to make trade sustainable. And I mean, if we had three agreements on that level, it would put a signal to the rest of the world. It would really make an impact. So we could have a globally change of gear.
Okay. I mean, so you mainly want to go, I see, into the trade committee. Is there another committee that attracted you from the ones that are available? Because usually you have minimum two committees, right?
Yeah. I think, of course, I would like to sit in a climate committee, but if that not good, I think there will be a lot of fight about that. But the tax committee could also be a place where I have experience to really get in, and I think I have something I could contribute with in a tax committee.
That's interesting. I mean, if we're talking about tax and tax committee, do you see some paths towards a more standardized European taxation model, or do you see yourself fighting for something like that, or do you prefer that each member state has its own tax rules?
No, it has to be much more aligned than it is today. I mean, you already seen the steps on the corporate tax issues. You have there's been a political fight about that since 2010 to have this called a common corporate tax base, and that continues, and actually it's about to getting implemented now. In some ways, you also have the minimum corporate tax rate, which actually is not an EU initiative, but it's from the G7, and then further on. I would like that the EU said, okay, it's not 15 we go to 25 or something like that. But to answer your question is, I would like it to be more aligned. I mean, 27 different tax system is not really a good idea. And actually what I would like to do is to change in Danish it calls dobbeltbeskatningsoverenskomster, but it's international tax agreements which countries have made with each other. Most of them are country by country, so it's bilateral. Yes. And most of those agreements are made from an industrialized world's perspective. So I think there's a lot of those things which can be changed. I mean, some of the articles in those treaties are like, they are made before something called the internet was invented. So just that is making it quite difficult, after all, to implement those articles in a modern world.
Okay, so taxation, so trading, that will be your main topics. Of course, you're coming from a green party, so you care a lot about the climate as well. But as you said, it's one of the most hottest committees in the European Parliament these days. So I guess for someone that is newly elected, it will be a bit hard to push and get yourself in there. But of course, there's also MEPs with 3 committees, so you can always dream.
I could always dream, and then of course,
yes.
but if I should be realistic, then trade and tax. But I would also say those are, in my opinion, very climate related, because they are tools to do all those things that we want to do. I mean, if you have trade treaties with, for example, a carbon mechanism and Klimatal, a mechanism who is just saying, okay, if you want to import products into the European market, which is not levied with a CO2 tax, then you have to pay a tax custom at the border. Those kind of things are trade issues. So there's a lot of those things, and you can also say it on the environmental side. You could say it on nature side. You could say it on workers' rights, animals' rights. So actually, it's a lot of things.
Everything can be made more green, basically.
Everything,
Super. Now that internationals are listening to this podcast mainly, why should they register to vote for an EP, European Parliament candidate from Denmark? Because they also have the option to just stay and vote for a candidate from their home state. Why should they vote for one from Denmark if they live here?
Well, I don't think the Denmark argument is a special good one. I think they should vote for the candidate who actually would move Europe and the world in the direction they think is the right one. I think that should be the thought in when you elect a candidate. So if you want a candidate who wants to move the world, Europe and the world, towards a more sustainable develop in a more sustainable direction, then I could be the guy you could vote on. And then I actually have the resources and the capacity, the right portion of experience, etc., to do it. But not because I'm Danish, just because I'm the right guy.
We also believe that people should vote where they live, because it'll be easier to get represented by someone that you actually have access to and can communicate with, and someone that actually looks towards the region that you belong to. So that's kind of why we made this project. And we also want to get people to get used to vote where they live. For example, next year we're going to have the local and regional elections, and they also have the right for that. So it's a good idea to already start voting here to get used to it for next year. Super. Let's. This was the first part, the candidate. Before we go to the next part, the union, we're going to go through 10 quick yes/no questions. All you have to say, Jan, is yes or no, nothing else. So I'll just read the question, and then you just say yes, no. You have 10 seconds to think about it, okay?
Okay.
Super. Should cannabis be legalized in the European Union?
Yes.
Do you think we should spend money to go to other planets?
Sorry?
Should we spend money to go to other planets?
No.
Do you use ChatGPT?
Yes.
Should the European minimum wage be established?
Yes.
Okay. Is the EU Digital Services Act restrictive enough to prevent underage people from accessing pornographic platforms?
Yes.
Have you ever bought products on Amazon?
Yes.
Are you in favor of implementing a harmonized level of taxation across EU countries to prevent unfair competition between Danish workers and other European workers?
Yes.
Do you have a Netflix or Prime subscription?
Netflix? Yes.
Are nurses adequately remunerated for the work they provide?
Sorry?
Are nurses paid well enough for the work they provide?
No.
Should products from fast fashion be taxed extra?
Yes.
Should sale of alcohol to minors be banned in the European Union? Minors means under 18. Any alcohol.
And what? Any alcohol?
Any alcohol.
No.
No. Super. Thank you so much for the yes and no questions, and we can go now to part 2. The union. And we're going to start with very interesting questions. Who is your favorite founding father or mother of the union, and why?
Well, I think I go for an obvious one, easy one, and say Schumann.
Schumann. Okay.
Yeah, and I think the reason is that he was initiating this about coal and steel. To have a cooperation around those two issues after Second World War. And I think the idea was just fantastic, actually. It was simple but fantastic to say, okay, those two products are essential if people wants to build up for war. They're going to need steel, they're going to need coal. So if you want to prevent that, we need to have a supranational institution who can actually supervise this. I think that was a fantastic idea, I think, and you can see now what it has been developing to. I have been thinking that we should copy that in some ways and saying what is the new coal and steel, and say, could we get the US and China to cooperate about a supranational institution to supervise those elements? Maybe we could prevent a potential conflict there. And I
That's
think
interesting, like a global union,
yeah,
basically.
yeah,
The foundation of a global union.
yeah,
Yeah, I think there is such a movement. I think there is even like a large association around the world. It's called the World Federalist Movement, where people want to create this global united Earth
yeah.
thing. It's a great dream to have. So that sounds cool. And
think
talking
it-
about
I think it's the UN. Yeah, it's the UN level 2, and I think actually instead of coal and steel, you could take it about microchips and data.
exactly, that's the one I say data. That's the future basically. Talking about Robert Schuman, he said in a famous declaration from 1950 that Europe will not be made all at once or according to a single plan. It will be built through concrete achievements which first create a de facto solidarity. Could you reflect a bit on the foundations of the European Union and its ideas and aims, and how are they reflected today, and do you see that evolving in the future?
Yeah, I can see. I've always seen the EU as a project of peace. That's also why I named Schuman, and also why I'm talking about this coal and steel, because that was a clear project of peace. Now the next level and the development of the union was to have like the common market, and I think it's good, but it's also one of the reasons why the purpose have been more unclear, because I think some people, also some governments, is thinking that this community is only an economic cooperation, and it's saying, okay, we will make a cost benefit analysis of this, and do we want to be in it, or do we want to get out? And I think that's an unfortunate development. But I think in the last 5 years, something like that, we've seen another development. I think both the COVID-19 crisis, but also Russia's invasion, has made it more clear that this community is also about other things, or it should be about other things. I think it's been clear for many Europeans that there is a big world outside Europe, and we are not just we're not born to rule in Europe. I think that thought should be it's become evident for many people now. So it's about what is the common, what are the values that we share, and I think that will be the next development in our community, that we take a deep and serious discussion about what kind of values do we share, and what kind of values do we actually want to build a society and a community upon. Because if it's only about economics, if it's only cost benefit, then you cannot really trust anybody, because then people are away if somebody gives them a better offer.
Okay, but so it's a union of values. Well, I mean, we do have the European Union values, right? That
Yes.
kind of we have built the union upon, and the founding father dream always has been that this is a political union, not so much just the economic union. Economic union was just a means to an end, right? It was just a foundational step. So what would you say would be the next thing in our evolution? Because, right, before we can reach to the level of federation, what will be the next step
I think the next step is to make it political clear that we are making a change from free trade to fair trade. I mean, if you take the treaty, it's not that I want to change the treaty about that, because it's already in there. It's in Article 3, Paragraph 5. It says that it's solidarity and mutual respect, people between, free and fair trade. I think, as you said, the founding fathers was very clear about trade and economics to be a mean to some goals. But the Euro Court, the EC Court, has from late 18s up against the 19s made it very clear that the core principles was the free movement of capital, workers, services, etc. And I think that have made it a direction where the fair element of economics has been a little bit on the dark side. I think one important development is to make the fair side obvious again, and make it a green path actually.
Okay, I think we dwelled quite enough on the future of Europe. But another thing that's quite important about the future of Europe is that we have the war in Ukraine. Yes, we have the potential re-election of Trump in USA, which became even more realistic after last night. How do you view and what are your ambitions for security and defense cooperation in the European Union? Because I was thinking maybe that when I asked you what could be the next step for the union would be a defense union, right? It's something they attempted before. Unfortunately, they failed. Do you think now we should go in that direction? Is that something you would advocate for?
Yes, that would be something I would advocate for. It's not something that I would put a major effort in, because I would focus on trade, but it's of course it's something that I would support. I think it's important that the EU actually can provide something, especially when we're going to make our own house cleaning. Actually, we're going to be able to do that, and I think it's a good idea that the Commission suggested that we could invite Ukraine into the cooperation about the military and defense purchases and etc.
But do you think we should, because we depend a lot on the American army, right? And it's a bit dangerous for us here in Europe. But do you think we should have some sort of a more unified European army? Because it's expensive for every EU states to spend money on military and defense, right? 2% from GDP. It's not exactly very affordable. Not even for us here in Denmark, if we are honest. We don't spend 2% of the GDP. We pretend to, but we don't in reality. And most of the EU states by themselves cannot defend themselves, and they cannot spend.
I think there's a long way to a real European army with one general and one man in front. I think I'm not opposed to that. I'm just saying that for me it's more important that we can set up some rules on how do we make decisions on foreign policy and also military and security policies. And we're not there yet. You can see that Germany and France is not really aligned right now. You have a statement from Macron saying that okay, maybe we should have NATO soldiers on in front in Ukraine, and you have a Scholz who's saying okay, that's not. So I think the talk about one united EU army, for me, it could be a whole natural development, but I think it's not next year. It's not in 5 years. I hope that we in 5 years can be more aligned in foreign policies at all. So I think to be more concrete, it's something about how do we take decisions. Could we take decisions on these areas without having like all should be agreeing about this? But maybe with a qualified majority taking a decision.
Okay. We'll move now a little bit from the army to a clip from another podcast called EU Confidential. It's about the recent development happening now in Europe. So I'm going to just let you listen to a 30 seconds recording.
There are tractors everywhere, all over the main thoroughfares of Brussels, and completely taking over Place du Luxembourg, right in front of the Parliament. It's a scene of farmers and explosions of I don't even know what, burning tires. There's smoke everywhere. In case the tractors were not enough of a hint, these are farmers, and the explosions are telling you they are angry.
Super. So you heard the clip about what's happening now in Brussels. I mean, the EU has subsidized the farmers for decades now, and with the green transition, these subsidies now are being obviously under question. Should they be removed? Should they be conditioned? What is your stance on that, and what do you think about this whole very volatile environment with the farmers in Europe?
Well, I think the common cap, the common agriculture policy has failed. It has failed the planet, it has failed the farmers, it has failed the consumers, it has failed. So we need to change that. And we need to change it in a sustainable way. We need to change it so it has the eyes on two clear goals. It has, if we want to subsidize, and I think it's an area where you need to subsidize because it's about food, and I don't know much about people, but I know that people should eat. So a new cap, a new agriculture policy should follow two goals. It should follow the goal that says, okay, people should have access to affordable food. Now that food is going to be produced within the limits of the planet. Those two goals can be combined, and those two goals should determine how the new cap should be made and stated. And now, how is it then going to be implemented in the countries? I think it's important that we go from. There's been a lot of compliance in the current system, and I think it's also one of the reasons why you have a farmer in Bordeaux or a farmer in Nordjylland who's saying, I don't understand all these schemes and all that. Why can't I just do this? So if we can make the new agriculture subsidiaries on a more performance-based level, so you get subsidies if you perform well. It could be according to climate, it could be according to nature, it could be according to environment. And have some 3 simple scales, maybe. I think that would be the right way to outline a new system for the cap from 2021 to 2035.
Okay, we're talking about the next cap, but the farmers are being angry right now, and it's. I feel like a lot of national elections and even the EP elections will be quite influenced by this whole farmer movements around Europe. A lot of right-wing voters are being influenced by this farmer protest, and they're trying to give it a political spin to it. What will stop the farmers to go home? What can we give them so they can go home?
I think we can give them a clear direction and saying there's a political will. Farmers is not the only people who work in Europe. We need to have clear and simple rules, which is the same for all. I mean, if we take it on a national scale, we have a big debate in Denmark about a carbon tax, and it has been levied from 2025 on the industry, and now there's a lot of fuss about the Danish farmers. They do not really want a carbon tax, but they have to because everybody else is going to pay it. So if they're going to pay nothing, everybody else is just going to pay more. I think that is a necessary signal to send out, and it's also necessary to send out to frustrated farmers that it's not only environmental regulation, it's not only climate regulation, which is the source of your trouble. It's also because of when you are selling your products, you're selling them to big corps who has much more purchase power than you have to deliver. In Denmark, we have association. A lot of farmers are are members of association, which makes the trade more equal. So if you have a big organization which is producing the food, and big corps who are like buying it to sell it further, that's not. I mean, the levels are more. There's a much more level playing field between those in Denmark than there is in for example, Germany or France. That's also one of the things that I think the politician must be clear about, to say, what about the middleman here? I think it's very important that we say, we know we're frustrated, we understand that you're frustrated, but you shouldn't blame it all on this and this and this, because climate, nature, I think we're all going to do something about. Also you farmers. But we are going to do it in a way that's transparent and which is equal for all. Equal as you are a farmer, a butcher, or you are electrician or a carpenter, should be same for all.
Super. So if there will be Danish farmers coming out in front of Christiansborg complaining about any of the new models, if there will be any of them implemented for the carbon tax, you will get out there and face them with this proposal, and hopefully you'll convince them to go home.
Yeah, but so, I think one of the reasons why you haven't seen the Danish farmers outside. Maybe there's two, because one, they have been members of associations so long time, so a lot of those things are already been taken care of. And two, you have a very powerful farmers association in Denmark, where some would say that they are actually, they have a big say at Christiansborg. So they don't need to go demonstrating in front of it.
Okay, super. We talked about farmers, and now let's take a break from the serious talk and have a quick quiz. Let's see how well do you know the union. So I'm gonna put you 3 questions, and let's see what you can answer to them. First question. In 2012, what prestigious prize was awarded to the European Union?
Do I get any? Can I choose? But no, I don't. There's nothing coming up right now.
No, sorry. It's only like I can give you a trick. Like it's in Sweden, the place where they give this prize.
No, sorry.
No, it's the guy who invented dynamite.
Okay. I don't know that guy.
That's perfectly fine. It's actually the Nobel Peace Prize they got in 2012 for, as you said, for being a project of peace for the last 6 decades in Europe. Let's go to the second question. How many stars are in the European flag? You know, the blue flag with yellow stars?
I think that's 12, right?
That is 12, yes. It's the symbol of unity, and you know, in Europe we have this idea of the circle as being a perfection. So yes, 12. It's not. I know some people still believe that it's the number of the member states we have in EU. That is not correct. We are not United States of Europe yet. So last question. How many political groups are there in the European Parliament?
Oh, how many are there?
Can you remember any of them?
Yeah, you have the left, you have the Green, you have the Social Democrats, you have the EPP, you have the, what's it called, the ED, Identical...
Yeah, Identity and Development, something.
And then you have Renew, that was 6, I think there is one more. I would say 7.
7, perfect. Good, correct. And with this, we have passed the quiz time, and we're going to go into the third part of this podcast, the citizen. And we're going to start with the first question. Do you think people in Denmark are actually aware that they are EU citizens? And what about you? Are you aware that you are an EU citizen? And when did you actually make that realization or self-realization that you are, in fact, an EU citizen?
I think most people in Denmark are aware of it. It's not something that they would say just, well, I'm an EU citizen, but if they were asked about it, I think they would say, yeah, I'm an EU citizen. For me, it's just been something. I think from the mid zeros, I've been thinking about, okay, I'm a EU citizen. I'm thinking much about the passport, actually.
Okay, so it's when you got the passport for the first time, when you looked at it made you realize, wow, I'm actually also a EU citizen.
Yeah, and also when some of the airports you've been to, been signaling this for EU individuals and none. I think that's also make you aware of, oh, I'm an EU individual.
So when you were traveling, basically, wow. So it's interesting because everyone has this moments when they realize, okay, wow, I'm an EU citizen, what this means and how are people perceiving Europeans, right? And I know many Danes travel outside of Europe, so for them, probably it's more often that they get to realize their European side of things, I guess probably when they go first time to Thailand or another Danish favorite location in the world.
I've never been to Thailand, actually.
Oh, okay. You're one of those Danes.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know. Would you be open to the idea of a standalone EU citizenship that's not really conditioned by the fact that you should be having a citizenship of one of the member states? Like, so that, for example, the UK people that are feeling European and feel very deprived of their identity to be able to keep, having their EU passport.
I would be very open to the idea. I think it's necessary to think it through, but I would be very open to the idea.
Okay. Standalone citizenship, here we come. There's actually a fun fact. There is some people in Europe who have such a EU citizenship, but it's a gray legal area. There's some people who...
It's in the Baltics?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have in the Baltics some people in Latvia who... Latvia decided they don't want to give them Latvian citizenship, but they were born in Europe, so they have a very strange passport without a Latvian logo on it. Let's just say Latvian national logo. Talking about citizens, let's talk about their rights. You know that most of their rights have been obtained in the European Court of Justice and usually thanks to lawsuits initiated by citizens. Do you think that there's some sort of apathy among EU politicians to expand the EU citizenship? I mean, why is it that it's always the citizens themselves who have to drive like some significant change on this field? There haven't been any grand, let's just say, reforms or political ideas in the last decade on this area. Do you see yourself coming up with something here that we as EU citizens could benefit from?
Well, as a party, we have an idea about what we call UB, a European Union Basic Income,
okay,
which would be which would give an EU citizen the right to a basic income. It's not a fortune or something, but to have, the idea is that you should have something so you could live, actually. So you have roof on top of your head and people to put in food to put in your mouth, clothes, etc. I think that would be a change or something to put on the rights you have right now. But that's something we have in our electoral program. It's not one of my major topics. For me, it's the trade and the economy. But now you're asking, we have that.
No, okay, it's interesting. Yeah. So your party, the Green Party, is actually advocating for the European welfare state. That's actually very interesting because now it goes with the taxation, right? So because if you want to give like this UBI on a European level, that means you also have to think of a European tax because you need to finance it somehow. And there you go, you have progress both on the taxation level and the welfare level on a European level. That sounds very, very exciting. I want to ask about EU citizens. When EU citizens move from one EU state to another, they are like, moving from Aalborg to Copenhagen. So why are they still treated as immigrants? For example, in Denmark, do you think non-Danish EU citizens have equal opportunities with the locals?
Well, in form they maybe, but in reality they do not. I don't know really why. I can only guess, and one of my guess is that, as you were briefly mentioned before, is that Danes are a rather cold society. You know, we're not good at inviting people inside our circles, and I think it can be hard and frustrating to come to society which is that closed. I think that could be one of the reasons. I think one of the other reasons could also be that we have a political climate where immigrants, people from abroad, has been demonized a lot. I think it's a sad development, but I think that could be one of the reasons why.
So, do you see in the future that somehow we could stop referring to EU citizens as immigrants in Denmark?
As what? I just understand you right. That
Like, do you think in the future we could stop referring to EU citizens as immigrants? Because then you might as well call people from Aalborg who moved to Copenhagen immigrants as well, right?
Yeah. I would really hope that we could do that. I think, at the place I frequent, Stephen's Hus, where there's a lot of people coming, I think we are there. Like, if you come from Barcelona, if you come from Berlin, if you come from Odense or Herning or Aarhus, that's not. I don't think it's that much difference, really. But I know it's at Nørrebro. It's an urban environment, and things like that. But I think you could see some change there, where it's not like, oh, you're from that's exotic, but it's much more. It's normal. It's just like, yeah.
Okay. We actually had our producer here, Pauline. She went on the street and asked people if they want to put you a question for this interview, and I'm gonna play one of these questions for you. They might not be necessarily aligned with what a member of the European Parliament does, but you can listen to the questions and see if it's something you can answer to.
I can ask you a question.
Okay, so I just would like to know if you think you might debate whether to start regulating wolves in Denmark. And I'd also like to ask if you think the infrastructure around charging stations for trucks might be a subject to discuss. And I'd also like to ask if you think the EU is going to handle the problem with PFAS in water and the ground. So, yeah, that's it.
So we got 3 questions actually from the same, a lot of difficult questions, I would say. Electric trucks and wolves and PFAS.
Yeah.
Is there anything that can be done on EU level on any of them?
Yeah, I'm not sure that I got the 2 first question right, but the third question, of course, yes, we have to have a regulation on a EU scale on PFAS. It's difficult, but we need to have it because we don't know what those chemicals. What we do know is that those chemicals do not disappear. So we need to do something about that. About the electric trucks, I'm not really. What was the question there?
It's like if should be more charging stations for electric trucks around.
Yeah. Of course, I would say. Of course, I think we should have a vision that if you is driving an electrical vehicle in Europe, you should be sure that there is a maximum amount of length between a charging station. If you are on the main roads, I think that could be.
On the side of the wolves, where do you stand? Should we regulate the number of wolves? Or should we let them be free?
Look at the number, the
wolves, the number of wolves in Denmark. Should we regulate that?
Well, it is regulated right now, right? Well, you're not allowed to shoot them right now. So what you want to do now is to put them on, so it's so that you can shoot them under certain circumstances.
Yes. Should we be able to shoot the wolves if they are attacking our cattle?
I think if they are attacking the cattle, I think it's possible to shoot them already right now, because it's that means that they have been overwhelmed your fence. and then you're allowed to do it. I think the problem is that if you're not your maintenance on the fence is not good enough, then the wolves come and then you can shoot them. But that's because you have not done a good enough job on keeping the wolf outside. So I think you should actually look more about how is the fence that is going to keep the wolf outside. How is you going to do that in a sober and a good way? And then it's not necessary.
Okay, super. Thank you so much, Jan. And we will use the last minutes in the last part of this podcast. The identity. Do you feel European? And what makes you actually feel European?
Yeah, I feel European. I feel European when I can travel in Europe. But most of all, and it may sound a little stupid, but the UEFA Champions League has made a lot of getting this European feeling, because I know that every Tuesday and Wednesday a lot of the European citizens is just watching the exact same little space, 110 meters on one side and 80 on another. I think it is 22 players, and the whole Europe is watching. I think that's where I feel European. That's where I think.
I was expecting you gonna say Eurovision, to be honest, but okay, it's good you said UEFA Champions League, I guess. Do you think we should raise the EU flag in the Danish Parliament along with the EU flag in the Danish Parliament along with the Danish flag during ceremonies and celebrations? Because today, you barely see it on Europe Day.
Yes.
When is Europe Day?
What was this? The 8th, 9th of May or something?
9th of May, yes. Yeah. It's a very important day for us as Europeans. Yeah. So, should we be able to raise the EU flag on other days in the Danish Parliament?
Yes.
And not only Danish Parliament, I guess, other local and regional governments.
Yeah, I think so. It's an important community, so yeah.
Super.
It's
and we were going to end today, like we were promised, with a challenge. We know you are a fantasy writer, so we were wondering if you were to make a fantasy about a European superhero that we need right now, what will be the story about? Like, how would you build that character of a European superhero?
I think it would be some kind of a mixture between Jon Snow and Harry Potter.
Okay, Jon Snow with the Harry Potter. I just imagine Jon Snow with some sort of a thing instead of a sword with a oh my god, with a baguette in his hand. Oh goodness. Okay, you have a quite interesting imagination. What superpower would he have? Will he have any superpower?
I think he should be able. The superpower that he has is that he's able to connect people who really dislike each other.
Okay, a bridge builder. Well, yeah, a soul connector.
Yeah.
So he could be like a necromancer, basically. Kill everyone first, and then everyone is equal, right?
Yeah, okay.
No, I'm just reading now a story about a necromancer, so that's why it came to my mind. I don't know if you're aware of that part of fantasy.
I am. Yeah.
That's great. What's your next book? Are you writing something right now?
I haven't been writing that much since I got active in politics, but I have a lot of things in my mind. The next book I will actually write is like more an airport book. It's about fluid age, flydende alder. It's like that you are not defined by one number. You should not be defined by a number, which is basically just about how many times this the planet has been circling around a sun. I mean, what's that to you? I mean, so fluid age is going to be the next.
That's a great thesis. Wow, I'm really looking forward to it. Actually, I'm hoping that maybe you'll consider translating it in English as well. But thank you, Jan, for taking the time to speak with the international community in Denmark. We hope that you will allocate at least 5% of your campaign resources to target the non-Danish EU citizens living in Denmark. You know, there are almost 300,000 non-Danish EU citizens living in Denmark, so they can choose to join the electoral roll and vote for a candidate from Denmark at the European Parliament elections now in June 2024. Actually, a poll that we made last week in Denmark, it showed that a third of the people, of them, considered voting for a candidate from Denmark, and that is 100,000 potential votes. That's 3.6%. This could have given you a mandate last time in the last elections. So I guess for Alternativet, this could be quite of an interesting voting group, let's just say. Thank you for listening, everyone. And remember, as an EU citizen, you have the right to either vote in the country of residence or in the country of origin for the European Parliament elections. If you choose to vote in the country of residence, then we strongly encourage that you go and opt in at the Borger service. You actually need to do that. Unfortunately, it's not automatic. Like for the local elections, here you have to go and do something about it. So thank you, Jan, once again.
Thank you for the invitation. It was great to be with you. And if to those who are listening, I have a TikTok account, and I will promise that I will make more videos in English.
That sounds great. Thank you so much, Jan. Stay tuned until the next episode of Vote Home, the podcast serial that wants you to have a choice on 9th of June 2024.